was quite a lazy weekend. I thought I would record some video for you, but it didn't work out. I wrote a little bit on my pet project. Besides that, it was just chilling out after a busy working week. Today I want to start from an interesting article. It's not like I learned something from it, but it's still something worth to check out, worth to read. The article title is I just don't want to be a software developer anymore. Sounds quite horrible. And the author tells us why does she have fatigue after some years of working as a software engineer. She still wants to code, she wants to write and read about old software development topics, but she just pissed off about what has this profession become and about the industry in general. I cannot agree on some points with her, but this is still really a problem in our society, and I have friends who feel this. A lot of people just leave their jobs, go down shifting, and or change their profession, and it's just because of some sickness, some illness, boredom, or just fatigue as well. Yeah, unfortunately, it happens. If you feel the same, or you have friends who feel the same, this article won't help you at all. Yeah, but still, it's worth to check it out. It's quite interesting. The second article is from a company named HelloFresh, and it's about microservices. It's quite an arguable topic, an arguable article by me. My friend and colleague found this article really interesting, and I'm not sure am I agree or not, but still I recommend you to check it out. But first, a couple of words from me. In the article, author describes some challenges and problems you may face when you try to switch to microservice approach from monolithic approach. And I will list few problems he mentioned. First one is reinventing the wheel. In their company, instead of using Symfony or Laravel for PHP, they started building, as I understand, some their own framework or around that, and it's just sounds silly. Why would you need to do this? So probably it's not a problem of microservices. It's just wrong way of choosing your focus. Second thing he mentioned is that you should plan 50-70% more time for implementing things rather than you expected. And this is just how software development works. Every time you should encounter 50-70% more time than you would like to. There's even a rule for project managers that every time you should multiply the estimation by p, 3.14. Next thing is that communication becomes a problem on the code level and on the team and company level. He speaks about API rules, about intra-services communication via messaging queues. But if you have a public API, you should follow the conventions. If you have more than 10 developers, you probably also have to write documentations. You have to discuss and argue about architectural decisions. And your modules or domains, depends how do you structure your code, they should somehow communicate to each other. Probably it won't be like an API or some queue interface, but still it would be some kind of communication. And if it's 2 or 3 different teams, you still have some conventions. So this is not a problem of distributed of microservice approach. It's just a problem any company will face when they grow to a certain amount of people and a certain amount of functionality. Fourth thing is that you have to think about automation. Come on, in monolithic application, you don't need to think about it, yes? You do. Yeah, there are many other things he mentioned, like tests, like documentation, etc. If you're thinking of moving to microservices approach, definitely check out this article. It's not bad, but it just won't give you any new information, any insight. So please don't be overwhelmed. This kind of architecture should be chosen deliberately, no doubts. Don't go there just because everyone is doing that. But if your app is certain size. Like if you have 10 plus people working, 10 plus engineers, only engineers working on the same app, and you want to release more frequently, still microservice approach is not a silver bullet for you, but it's worth to think about moving to this approach. And it doesn't mean that you should stop writing code into your core, into your monolithic application, and just start separating everything piece by piece to microservices, which is a good approach, but it's not necessary. Just when you receive some new feature request, probably you should start thinking, maybe it's time for me to create a new microservice, to create a new service for this new feature. Feature probably is a bad thing here. It's too tiny. Probably I should speak more about new domain. Like in my previous company, we started implementing like a new integration, and in this case, it would make sense. It made sense for us. So please don't be afraid of going there, of going to microservice approach just because you will need to think a little bit more. It's a challenge, of course, but it's not something which you cannot overcome. By the way, the conclusion the author gives is quite good, and I will just make a quote here. Skill comes from experience, experience comes from hard work, and hard work comes from desire to solve a particular problem. You will get an experience for sure. After investing some time, you will definitely speed up your development. This is for sure. Just take some time to prepare the releases, to prepare the segregation, to prepare the communication between microservices, and just to plan how will you approach. Will you start with new things, or will you start covering your code with tests if you don't have yet? Which I hope you have if your project is on production. Also, one of the way can be that you just starting separating your code inside one repository, inside one application or SRC folder in different domains. If your code is modular, it's so easy to segregate it, to separate it to microservices. So the link is in the show notes. Go and check it out, and we can discuss it. The third thing, MongoDB recently, not so recently, but about a couple of months ago, released a cool feature named ChangeStream. I read about it back then. I didn't try it by myself. I was thinking about writing a blog post, but I was busy writing about other things. It's a new way MongoDB notifies your application or followers about changes in the primary database. And previously, you could pick these changes only using oplog, which was quite complicated and troublesome. And now, from your application, you can easily subscribe to event. And in the article, I will include in show note, author shows how simple is it. And at least in synthetic example, it works like a magic. I'm not sure will it be the same in production environment. And it actually can be an interesting point for microservices. Probably you would like to pick this approach if you need to keep some, to notify some additional databases about your main database changes. For example, you have customers database in MongoDB, for example, and you want to notify another microservice. For instance, some messaging microservice which has recipients, and if your customer updated some contact data on your database in the customer microservice, you probably will need also to give this data to this messaging microservice, and it will make sense. Probably I didn't try this approach. I used to use just messaging queue. So if you have experience using ChangeStream for such kind of task, I will appreciate if you can share your experience. And just to mention, in this article, author describes everything using node.js, which should be familiar for everyone because almost everyone works with JavaScript nowadays. The fourth thing I want to share is that I just finished my second blog post about tutorial for Node.js in 2018, and it's about integrating database using SQLize ORM. It's very basic post about how to start using it, and probably if you were afraid that there is no proper solution for Node.js and you were thinking, should you switch, should you try, or maybe not, yeah, go and check it out. It's absolutely convenient, it's pretty easy to integrate with, and it looks like almost every current ORM. Go and check it out. Subscribe to my channel, Lois. Have a good night. Have a great day tomorrow.